Alright, y'all, we're back with some more Dokkan battle, and today we're going to be talking about a new update to my TWR tier list, including Dokkan Fest and Dokkan Fest EZAs. Then we'll be including TEQ Beerus into this, and then the Universe Tree Goku. Now, I do count like these heroes headliner characters as Dokkan Fest, like quote unquote, because they do have their own Dokkan events. You know, a lot of these characters have had a Dokkan festival level leader skills or brand new DFEs that come out. And a lot of times, you know, their kit ends up being on par with the recent Dokkan Fest around them. So I think, you know, especially with this Blue Goku being very unrestricted to that like crossover heroes team, I think this guy could actually be good on some other teams upcoming. We'll see, right? I think he's on par with some of these Dokkan Fest released this year. And then Super Easy TEQ Beerus, I think we all know he's really, really good. We're going to talk about both of them. Before we hop into it, though, I do want to make a slight update to this tier list. I think, you know, from playing the game, you know, the past few days, you know, getting used to some of these extra teams with like slug around and things like that, I would say I'm actually going to move full Power Frieza up. I think here my mind on that could change, you know, especially if we get some other fights that are like longer, where these three even could benefit. I just think the issue right now is that, you know, a lot of these fights like want you to just be ready, right? Like at the start, so many different situations, and even like in Goku Frieza, man, like you can get Tech Gohan in like a slot 7 situation, and if he gets locked in like slot 1, same with Vegeta, right? It could be a little dangerous. These bosses are hitting really hard, like early on, even especially for how these stackers work. They still couldn't work very well in those fights, and like let's say Bulma as well, right? Vegeta especially, he has the ceiling, he excels there. But I think Full Power Frieza, like on the slug team, him not getting the domain, but there's a lot of support on that team. He could work as a nice slot 1 character. He helps with Bojax. Part of the passive where he needs like space traveling warrior slash inhuman deeds, right? All in all, you know, with this great link set as well, even consistent decent damage, right? I think that I like this Full Power Frieza a lot more on Slug's team that I've been using him on. So big fan of this guy right now. I think he's actually able to put in some nice work. I mean, 80% reduction definitely is still a lot. Once you get some of those super attacks off, like he's off to the races, bro. So yeah, that's the only change I would make though. I still think Slug and Boom Buff Super Saiyan 3. I think Goten and Trunks still fit here in this tier. Could you say Bojack fits up here? I still am gonna say no. I feel like Bojack is missing, like, you know, especially when he transforms, right? I think he's missing, like, you know, built-in crit, I think is a really important thing for him as like a damage dealer post-transforming. I've had a lot of situations where even if he's hitting like triple, quad, 20 mil super attacks, he just does 0 damage to Goku Frieza. And, you know, in the Gogeta Janemba fight, you're not really going to see him transform, and I really think his restriction is a little too tight, especially when you consider that he's running on the Slug team, and it, you know, hurts you to potentially run someone like Janemba, right? Which is one of the probably the best character on Slug's team, I would say. I think Janemba, I would say Janemba's better than all these characters. But that's all I want to say. I think this looks good to me. Now, let's talk about, I think we'll talk about Blue Goku first. I think there's a little more to talk about with Beerus. I think it's pretty more straightforward. I think this guy is the character that you know, a lot of people will be interested to see, like, okay, you know, where is he generally? The Hero's Manor still out. Maybe, I'm sure a lot of you guys at this point have decided whether or not you're summoning, but you know, in case you maybe you're even thinking about the dupes or something, here's what I'll say. I think this guy's good. I think he's better than some people may be giving him credit for, honestly. I don't really see a lot of posts that are like, oh, this Blue Goku's like super, super good. But I also don't see posts where people are calling him really bad. I think a lot of us agree that he's just a good character. He's not doing anything majorly outstanding. I think he's still pretty like strong though, just like overall, like the guard plus 40% reduction, right, is really good. I think the one issue with this guy is that when he loses the intro, his defense becomes like more like a decentish level. Even with the guard and 40% reduction, he's probably sitting around like what, 400 to 500k ish defense range, even when he's fully built up. Without this extra 200% start of turn, when he's fully built up with this, I'd say he's closer to like 700, 800k, and that's before supering, right? And I guess you could also consider the active skill as well, right? The active skill is really good, giving the 30% multiplicative defense. I think the kind of strat for this guy in longer content, right, where you could actually get him usable for like 6 turns specifically, is you have this guy, just built up normally the first 4 turns. Then, of course, from turn 5 onward, he will have access to the active skill. So on his 6th turn, essentially, or the 6th turn of the fight, his 3rd appearance, right, if you're floating this guy around, he will lose the intro, but then he can get the active skill. You don't get the guaranteed crit scrolling. A lot of people are building this guy with crit for some reason. Even though he has the medium chance to crit, he has the guaranteed additional here, and then he has another additional. Now you do want the Xeno ally on the team, and I think that's the one potential thing about this guy is like, there are some Xeno characters you could run, like that Super Saiyan Goku, right? I think that the Super Saiyan Goku is actually a pretty like decent option you can get away with. Same with this Vegeta. Pan is actually another good option, but like Alpha Heroes team not really the greatest. But like, it's like, if you're running this guy on like his own team and you're running like, let's say Family Kamehameha Gohan, you're running TEQ Gogeta, UI Goku, a lot of really strong characters, Blue Evolution Vegeta, that will work really well with this guy. It may be hard to like slide in some of these heroes characters that might have some of these heroes restrictions. Luckily this guy does not though. I've actually found that I've been able to use this guy in Gogeta and Janemba, kind of floating him around. That gives Goku his passive, right? And as long as he doesn't get tagged by Super, of course, he actually ends up being fine. Especially if I'm running Int Buu on the team. I actually really like running Int Buu on this guy's team, because there's like less HP on the team because this guy obviously is a double leader. But Int Buu could like kind of, especially in those short content fights, reset the turn, and especially if you have like some weaker characters like this guy on the rotation, you basically completely get rid of the chance of him getting just like instantly one shot, right? So that's a good thing. And yeah, besides that, I think Goku, a lot of his passive is really just him building up his stats or getting down with the orbs. I would say he doesn't really need this though. I mean, again, the additional would be really nice to get, but I don't think it's going to be a thing that makes or breaks the character in terms of what he's doing. I think, again, there's a lot of Rainbow Orb Changers, TEQ Gogeta, even Blue Falcon and Evolution Vegeta, right? They're not really the best in like Gogeta and Janemba probably, but you could use them in a lot of different scenarios. And you only need the 7 key stores once, which is a really nice thing too. You do want to make sure you get 5 each turn, but with all the Rainbow Orb Changers on his really strong team, it's just not an issue. Again, even as a floater, I think this guy, once he's like, getting built up, he's looking really strong. So like for like a floater character for sure, right? I mean, I've had this guy survive Gogeta Supers, Janemba Supers, like turn 1. Well, I'm not sure about Gogeta turn 1. Janemba turn 1, he's been able to survive actually. At least his first turn. Gogeta is a character where it's like, that turn 1 instantly, I think this Blue Goku could survive post Super. But it might be a little bit of a struggle, like he might be able to take you under like 50% HP or something. Same with Janemba. Gogeta later on, of course, he'll be fine because Gogeta's attack starts getting debuffed, and it's like this guy's passive, and considering his active skill as well, like he will be good throughout the entire fight there. So I think that's important. Goku and Frieza, I still think he's actually pretty good here because he's going to be a really nice option against the 17 of Frieza phase, because obviously he'll be type advantage. So even if his passive runs out, like, well, I guess he always guards anyways, but he will still be able to do some nice damage. And considering that he has a built-in crit, it's gonna actually make it pretty decently common for him to also do damage in the final phase, right? With the active skill plus with the additionals that he may be able to get. I think I've seen this guy hit like even at the end of fights like 17 mil, 18 mil attack stats, right? If you consider him linked with another like Super Saiyan Blue kind of character. So where would I put this guy? I think I'm putting him pretty much. Do I like him more than TEQ Vegeta? It's like tough. I think he's better than these characters. I think I'll leave him. I think you could say here or here. And then I feel like these three characters are more so interchangeable. I would group these two together though. But like you could interchange these two, and it's either this guy above both of them or this guy under them. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I'm a fan of this Blue Goku. I think his team being this good is also something that you could consider. Yeah, and it's like I think him building up, he only has to get the attacks off. These two do want to get super attacks, and this guy does want to get hit as well. But this guy does have like the restriction is not a big deal, but it does make like it does help him quite a solid amount. It's just not like a make or break. I think it's more so getting this additional would be more important than the orb changing. The orb change doesn't really matter to me anyways, but this additional right here means that he could get fully built up turn one. That's a difference, right? And it's like I don't think you're always gonna be safe running that Xeno, like Goku or some of these other Xeno characters are not really that great. So I think here is good for me. Yeah, I think this works for me personally, but let me know what you guys are thinking. I think I want to put him above full Power Frieza or Bojack, really. I'm thinking. But I mean, there are turns where he could look like the best character in this turn and this like row here, but there's turns where TEQ Gohan can, there's turns where Vegeta can. Like it's all situational. It depends on how often you see it, right? That's what I would say. So there, that is with this Blue Goku specifically. Now we can talk about TEQ Beerus. I think TEQ Beerus very obviously in the top tier of Z characters, not Z plus. I think a lot of you guys have seen how good he is. I did do like a in-depth guide kind of video thing for him yesterday where I showed him off in different events, you know, broke down his passive, etc, etc. I actually recommend you guys check that out because it's a new format that I'm trying, and it's like a fully edited video and everything like that, so I recommend looking at it. But essentially this guy is unkillable. Like there's one situation where he got killed for me. That's against Goku Frieza at the end, where he canceled out Goku Frieza Super with his range mode, but the issue is that he lost damage reduction. Then Goku and Frieza ended up doing 180k normals to him, and they did like 3 or 4 of that. I think it was 3 attacks, right? But again, keep in mind that I was low in HP, so he ended up dying because he did not have the damage reduction. So that could be one potential issue, especially if you're using him as your slot 1. But like that's quite literally the only situation where I've had him die. I mean, full HP, this guy is able to live the max power Goku and Frieza Super. I mean, it is a barely live situation where he takes 600k, but you know, you still are able to live that, and then you're still looking good. For the most part, he's also supporting, which is quite silly. The only thing he doesn't really do is damage, but like I think this guy's a slot 1 character. I'm not like looking for him to be like your mega damage dealer. That's kind of more of like your slot 2 character, like your slug on the team, or you know, Bojack. Even when he's transformed, if he gets enough stacks, I think this guy, you know, he's able to do quite a decent amount of damage in, you know, a lot of these different events here. This, you know, restriction is not a big deal because some of the best teams in the game are movie bosses and Realm of Gods, right? You know, TEQ Goku's team, Slug's team, TEQ Broly's team. Like this guy is able to work very well across all those different setups, which is really nice, right? But yeah, I don't know. He's very simple. You put him in slot 1 and he's like unkillable. And if you get the rage mode, he will cancel out the enemy's super attack, which means that they can't super you for the turn. And usually, again, I'm trying to find where he was initially. Usually, even with just the 30% reduction in guard, in every situation except for powered up Goku Frieza, you have no risk at dying. So there you go. TEQ Beerus is just insane. And again, like I would say, the thing is, damage, he's always, I've never seen him really do higher than a 20 mil attack stat. If you really wanted to, you could definitely juice him up there. But I'd say normally he's like at a 15 to 18 mil attack stat, depending on support, depending on links. Now in Realm of Gods, I've seen this guy, I think he hit like a 17, 18 mil attack stat with Vados on rotation, right? I didn't have TEQ Goku's domain up. I think if we got that domain up, then he would be able to hit like past that 20 mil, right? Or if you get like another support on top of that too, I could see this guy doing some like, you know, damage there. And he does have the high chance to crit at least, which is nice. But you know, on the slug team, I find that this guy doesn't do enough damage to really damage Goku and Frieza either. But that's okay, not the biggest deal. So, I mean, honestly, like I think I just straight up he's best TEQ just in the game right now. Like Beerus is this is biblically accurate Beerus, dude. He's like he could also rage mode twice. I think I didn't say that. Being able to rage mode twice is like he cancels 2 turns of the enemy super attack if you're low HP, and then it's like you're not at risk at dying, and that gives you a chance to recover, right? Especially on Slug's team, there's a lot of healing going on around there. This guy has pretty decent defenses, so if you give him some tech orbs, he'll be able to heal a decent amount too. And even like turn 1 against Gogeta and Janemba, this guy doesn't die. Like, it's just like, you could talk about these theoreticals, but using him in game, he just doesn't die. It just doesn't happen. Like multiple runs, like there's only one time where he actually died, and it's a very uncommon scenario, I would say. Well, I would say very uncommon, but it's like not a too likely scenario to happen. But then he's like also helping the team. It's like he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot that I think a lot of these teams really need, and filling a role on a lot of these teams that is very helpful as a extremely consistent slot 1 character. Not a slot 1 character that majorly relies on dodge or dying, but he just sits in slot 1 and he eats, and he's like, okay, bro. Right? He just looks at the enemy and he's like, is that it? Like, you know, it's raw. The only thing I would wish, and they should let us do this, if you own a character with the same name, like let's say I own Physical Beerus and you own TEQ Beerus, right? Or I own both TEQ Beerus and Physical Beerus, for example. You should be able to switch like the super attack animation to the newer character, where it's like, okay, this guy's super UZAs, right? He has the old super attack animation, and we have the Physical Beerus super attack animation, which looks like obviously like 10 times better than what this guy's is. As long as you own both characters, you should be able to switch the super attack animation so that, oh, you know, I can switch this 12k super attack to the Physical Beerus' super attack, and then it's like, oh, now I have like a really raw looking super attack on this old TEQ Beerus that's usable now. You know, I think that just would be a cool feature, and it's like, you know, technically it would incentivize people to summon for the new character. If you want to use like, or get that character, if you want to use EZAs or super EZAs, I think that'd be really cool. You know, I own this character, so I could use this super attack animation on this other character. You know, I think that'd be cool, and it just makes using free-to-play units also more fun even. But whatever the case is, let me know what you guys are thinking. I think this looks I can't even say, I said licks. This list looks pretty decent to me. What I say, you could like move these around maybe. Topo's restriction just gets worse and worse every time I'm looking at it. Like, it's not like the worst ever right now though, but it's not the greatest, right? Not the greatest. I hate Rose. Anyways, I'm ending the video. Thanks y'all for watching. I'll catch you all next time.